This position includes no perspectives of the residents of Johannesburg and what they want for the city. This has simply been ignored. I maintain that coalitions are the future of South African politics. For a political party to back away from such arrangements 18 months before a local government election that will invariably produce more coalitions is tantamount to declaring itself to be unsuitable for the future of this country. The election of Helen Zille as chairperson of Federal Council represents a victory for people in the DA who stand diametrically opposed to my beliefs and value system. And I believe those of most of South Africans of all backgrounds. I cannot reconcile myself with a group of people who believe that race is relevant in the discussion of inequality and poverty in South Africa in 2019. I cannot reconcile myself with people who do not see that South Africa is more unequal today than it was in 1994. I cannot reconcile myself with people who fail to realize that we have a patriotic duty to unseat the ANC and save our country before it is too late. With this grouping of people succeeding in their efforts to take over the DA, I have no doubt whatsoever that they will move to collapse these governance arrangements. At the heart of the matter will be the proper agenda that this multi-party that represent executed. I've stood in front of halls filled with upper-income Johannesburg residents, without exception, understand the need to address the unsustainable inequality in our country. Despite this, some members of the DA caucus in Johannesburg have suggested that we prioritize the needs of suburban residents above providing dignity to those forgotten people who remain without basic services 25 years after the end of apartheid. It is clear to me that in the same way that the review's conclusions were determined from day one, any process of reviewing this coalition arrangement is similarly predetermined. I say this with certainty because I've had this to lead the seven-way minority government without a solid mandate from the DA for the past 3 years. From the very first day I took office, this coalition arrangement has been undermined, criticized, and rendered nearly impossible. In every way, the DA has been the most difficult coalition partner in this arrangement. Despite the fact that coalitions survive on consultation, shared programs, and recognizing the contribution of each member, the DA has criticized and questioned my approach. Despite the DA only winning 38% of the vote in 2016, elements in the party, some, have expected me to govern arrogantly as if I have an outright majority. I have to deal with people who draw the artificial distinctions between service delivery in formal settlements and suburbs as a binary, either or type approach. I've had to deal with individuals who'd rather spend more time on cutting grass than on fixing our broken and aged infrastructure which threatens disaster in our city. I have to deal with people who do not want me to implement the insourcing program that has benefited over 7,000 families and contained contractual costs merely because it was not DA policy. My response to the DA was, then make it your policy. Unfortunately, it is these individuals who have triumphed at yesterday's Federal Council meeting. That is why I have no doubt whatsoever that the collapse of this governance arrangement is a foregone conclusion. It is not in my nature to wait for people to push me.